This is the Dumpster Fire Project. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dumpster Fire Project. Marie and I have a good one for you today. Our guests, and I said guests plural, is what you would call a power couple. AJ and Jennifer have been together for 16 years, married for 5. They both have full-time professional day jobs, but at night, these two combine to make a hell of an entrepreneurial team. Together, AJ and Jennifer have run multiple businesses to include Selfie Mirror Magic, a rental photo booth, and their newest edition, Tea Deets Magazine. Please welcome AJ and Jennifer Del Santos. How are you guys?
Good. And you?
We're doing all right. Thanks for, really appreciate you guys coming on here and going through all the technical issues and appearing on the Dumpster Fire Project that often lives up to its name.
So it sounds like you guys got quite a story and a lot to get into. So let's hit the audience with something big right out of the gates. Let's talk about your up against the ropes moment. Out of everything you've been doing, what was one of your biggest challenges where you just felt like you were up against the ropes and just had to fight your way back to be able to survive and get where you wanted to be out of any of your projects? What was that biggest one that you really had to fight for?
You want to answer that one?
Yeah. So it's quite crazy. We like was said, we just started a magazine, and up against the wall moment, we ordered this magazine. We outsourced our printing. Obviously, we needed price and all this stuff. So we get our magazine in 2 days before our print party. We've been planning this print party. We're getting set up. We're getting ready. Our friends are involved. Other businesses are involved. And so we're having this big print party, and we've been advertising. And we get our magazine in 2 days before the party, and the entire thing is wrong. Entire thing. Not a single page was where it was supposed to be. The quality of the print, the look of it was great, but every page was in the wrong order. Stories were out. I mean, we had a 2-page picture that one page was in the middle of the book, the other was in the very back. And so there was it was horrid. It was terrible. I mean, there was more conversation about 68 pages than I've ever had in my life. So we had to, we tried everything. We were getting ready to, unbind the magazine, reorganize pages, and get it rebound. We were calling different places to get prices. And, we were looking from Hobbs, Lubbock, Odessa. We were just trying anything to get this thing ready for our print party. So at the end of it, we decided, you know what? We're going to bite the bullet. We're going to pay the extra money, and we're going to just get it reprinted for an arm and a leg locally. Luckily, there was a place locally that was able to get us taken care of in 2 days.
Yeah, they did us a solid, definitely.
So we had to, talk about backs against the wall in a corner, like however you want to put it. We were.
Meltdown. I had a meltdown. It was horrible.
We were struggling. We had no idea what we were going to do. Jennifer was ready to cancel the party.
Oh yeah,
I was
that extreme.
But there was some goodness out of it. In the beginning, we were going strictly print. Well, then we decided we were going to do a digital version of the magazine. So we developed a digital version really quick, because we had an initial idea to just do digital. And then I realized we can't have a print party with a digital magazine without prints. And so we went back and forth. Finally,
Yeah, a local company definitely did us a solid.
Yeah. And
so this was 2 days before the print parties when you got it back. Yes. Wow. So that you're scrambling like crazy for 2 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was wild. It was a very, very big test of your resilience. Can you do this? Can you be put under pressure? and still succeed. And, I feel like we pulled it out and people loved it. Nobody knew. Nobody
I had
knew
no clue.
That you had volume,
1 point B.
1 point, yeah, And so I'm looking at one right now, and it's here's an original that's just, anytime I flip through it, it's so wrong.
That's gonna be worth some money someday. Can I get a copy of one of those?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so it went from, that's going to be, like, it went from me wanting to burn 250 copies, which we ordered in my fireplace, to saving them at Drylands for the fire pit there. Right now they're just kind of sitting in the garage, but I did kind of think that it would be funny later down the road to sell the original first version of Tea Deets.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yes. So Murray and I have found out recently that not many people listen to our podcast at the end. So why don't you tell everybody right now what Tea Deets Magazine is and where they can find it?
So Tea Deets is a local magazine that highlights local businesses here in Lee County just right now. Eventually we'll be venturing out. But the idea kind of started... I was trying to figure out a different way of marketing AJ and I in real estate. And so I thought, hey, why not a magazine? And then obviously COVID has been going on. And so I didn't realize how many friends we had in business. And I know that sounds silly to say, but when I click with people, I click with people. I don't necessarily communicate with people just because of what they do or what they own. And so then I told AJ, hey, we need to bring everyone along with us. And so that's when the stories and the ad space came on. So right now, everyone can find us on Instagram and Facebook. And then our website is teamdeets.com. Right now, we're doing the PDF versions. I still have a couple of prints left for July. We just went to print today for August issue. And then we have down hats and T-shirts also available on the website.
Nice. Yeah, and it's really cool. And Murray and I appreciate you guys getting us in that inaugural episode. We had a blast at the print party. And until you just told your story, I had no clue that that you guys had that issue. So you really sold it well. I want to ask, I want to get to all your guys, because you have a couple of side hustles, businesses going on, but let's kind of go back, bring us up to speed. Tell us about when you guys have been together for a long time. When did you form that entrepreneurship? Let's do these businesses, and why did you do it when you have the full-time professional day jobs?
So I think AJ has kind of always been the dreamer. He's always had like the ideas, and I'm very much, I guess, the more logical one out of us. And so I'm the one that is constantly asking, okay, how are we going to do this? How much money is it going to cost? And so I feel like I've probably been the Debbie Downer in a lot of things that we probably should have already been doing. AJ started listening to a podcast called Don't Keep Your Day Job. And he listened to it for a little while. And then I started listening to it. And it just kind of helped me really just open my mind to, hey, you can actually do this. Like, don't be worried just about the money. Like, you can do it. And so now we've just been kind of venturing out with opportunities that have been coming along.
I mean, I've never been the type of person that just wants to sit around. If there's money to be made, I want to make it. And so if somebody's making money, it might as well be me. And so any opportunity we have to, I always say, I'll do anything to make money as long as it's mostly legal. And so we try, and, sometimes we don't succeed. There's been things that we wanted to do that we thought would be great businesses, and they don't work out. And, but, that's never stopped us. Nonetheless, there is the conversation of how much money is that going to be? What about this? What about that? But for me, it's all about like, what is it? How is it going to make me feel? Like, am I going to be able to make a difference? Is it going to be an impact? And that's why Tea Deets is such a big deal, because I feel like we can make an impact and make a difference. And so I think that's kind of my entrepreneurial mindset is continuing thinking of, and I mean, I really don't want a real job for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like, who wants to do that? Like, who wants to have to be somewhere? You know, I think I want to work until I'm 40 and then just, you know, I don't know, go
play the stock market.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you have an interesting story too about the idea for the magazine, Jennifer. You were mentioning a little bit at the print party, but how did you get this idea for the magazine and kind of how did that come into existence? Because it seemed like it happened pretty quickly.
Oh, it happened really quickly. Like I said, I'm a little bit of a logical thinker, and so I can talk myself out of ideas all the time because I live in my head about 99% of the time. So I was blow drying my hair, and I think a lot in the morning. Like, I have some really awesome ideas in the morning. I plan my day. I send emails. I send text messages. Anyways, I had an idea of we should do that as part of advertising for real estate. I'm not a huge fan of mailers. I throw mailers away when they come into the mail, right? Billboards, everyone kind of has a billboard. So I just wanted to do something a little bit different. And as far as I know, no other realtor here has their own magazine. And so I was thinking, yeah, we could definitely do this. So I actually found a company that does this specifically for realtors. They put realtors on the front cover. They send it out to your mailing list. You have a letter that goes out individually to each one of your customers. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, right? So I was like, cool, that sounds easy. Send me a PDF. And it was just really cookie cutter information and content on the inside. I think anybody who's had a 10-minute conversation with AJ and I would know, like, what the heck is going on here? And they would think, why are you in this magazine? Like, you shouldn't be in this magazine. This isn't y'all. And so I started asking, of course, the sales guy about content, like, hey, can we, like, add coupons? Like, can I do different ads? Like, what can we do? And I guess I was asking too much about content because finally he told me content doesn't matter. And I was like, oh, please. Okay, thank you, bye. Like, this isn't going to work. Because for me, like, content is everything. Like, your content is your soul. And so for a magazine or a book, you would think that would be the same thing. And so after that, I went and got some dry erase boards from Walmart and just started writing stuff down. Like, okay, if I wrote my own magazine, what would be in it? And who would potentially even want to read it? And so by the time I got back from Walmart with the dry erase boards, AJ was already back at work. And so I'm sure you guys saw maybe my chicken scratch that was on a whiteboard behind me. I don't have the best handwriting, so I had it propped up in the kitchen, and I had to go over it with AJ because he can't read my handwriting either. Nope. And so I kind of had like this whole little presentation ready at lunchtime, and he was like, well, what are you going to call it? And I was like, well, I haven't got that far. And so before he got ready to go back to work from lunch, we had a name. And so I knew that I had to immediately start working on it before I talked myself out of it. And that's what happened.
And it happened pretty quickly too, right?
Yes. So
like you thought of this basically over as COVID setting in. I'm going to do a magazine.
Yeah. So May 1st was the initial idea. May 2nd, we were calling people, telling them, hey, we're doing this magazine. This is kind of what we're thinking. Do you want to be involved? And it was insane, the response that we got, and everybody just kind of jumped on board. It was really cool.
Yes. Murray, are you still there? Because you're being awfully quiet.
Yeah, no, I'm listening to the good story. So I think as part of that,
Thank
like
God.
everyone says ignorance is bliss. I think that applies a lot to this. Like, you thought about the magazine, you're like, yep, that's where my heart's telling me to go. So I'm just going to chase that. But I did have a question. So you guys have a lot of moving projects, and AJ touched on this a little bit already. You've had some that didn't succeed. So part of our podcast is to also share our story and how we are similar to other people. So I'm in a spot right now where I've got a lot of moving pieces, and one of these projects just doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. What was the mindset that you guys went through when you decided to just say, you know what, one of these isn't working, it's time to just let it go? Like, when have you said, I'm done investing in this and it's time to move on to something else?
So I don't have like the attachment and that type of, I guess, not emotion, but like mentality. Like I'm easily entertained, but then I get bored really quick. And so for some of our failure, some of my failure ventures, it was more, and I think that's another thing is that like I can only fail myself if I don't try. And I think that's why whenever it may not work, I still in my mind, and I know I may call it a failure, but it's like, well, I succeeded because I learned something. Like I learned what not to do or how to do it. And so for me, I'm really quick to know like this isn't working. I need to move on. And like, so for me, I think the biggest thing is just being able to accept that like, okay, this didn't work, and just, take I don't know. I mean, I don't know any other way to say it. Like I'm really quick to just like let it go. Like I love that, I hear people and they're like beating themselves to death trying to get something to work. And I'm like, dude, that's never going to work. Like, why are you still working on it? Because if I don't do this, then I fail. Or they use, I'm not a quitter. And I'm like, well, you
should quit that.
Yeah, you should quit that. Like you're right now, your lack of ability to realize that it's not working is a bigger, negative than you saying I had to quit. Like, because everybody around you can see that it's not working. And so I've never wanted to be that person. And so for some of those business ideas, it just, we just knew like, okay, this one's not going to be it. And sometimes it became well, we don't necessarily have the funds to continue this, or something along the lines of this isn't fun anymore. Like this isn't what we wanted to do. Like with the magazine, I mean, yeah, even with our 2-day notice of a huge mistake, it was fun to fix.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't. Now,
do you agree with that, Jennifer?
Yeah,
So I definitely don't want to do it again if I don't have to. But now I know how to fix it.
But like we learned a lot. That was a failure that we learned a lot. Mm-hmm. Like, and so I'm totally cool with at the end of the day just letting something go because it doesn't work. And like, we work a lot of projects, and when you work a lot of projects, you're, what is it? The law of averages, something's bound to our, Newton's law, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. The law of averages, occasionally you're going to get some right, but you're going to get some wrong. And so, and I'm totally okay with it. Like, hey, if I was perfect, I wouldn't be in this position because I'm not, I keep trying. And so, yeah, I mean, I hope that answers the question correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was, taking the learning lessons from anything that you tried, and you don't have to see yourself as a failure. Like you didn't fail, you still learned something. You're still getting benefit out of it, even though that specific thing might not be out there right now, but it just helped give you the building stones to go into that next project. So yeah, definitely appreciate that feedback. I've also heard people say it as, what is it? Fail early, fail often, fail fast. Some version of that. Just like, yeah, we tried, you got to swing for the fences. You're going to strike out sometimes, but you're also going to hit home runs.
Right.
So we build this podcast kind of as, we call it the Dumpster Fire Project, because I went back to Michigan where my family's from over Christmas, and Murray and I were, sitting around talking. Murray's got a side hustle. I got a side hustle. And we said, neither one of us really know what we're doing. So what if we did a podcast where we documented our journey and kind of say, hey, these are the mistakes that we made, and you can learn from us, because we listened to the podcast from Gary Vee and all the other experts out there that say, do all this stuff and you'll be rich, like me kind of thing. And Murray and I were like, hey, we're just two normal guys going through this. Let's just see what we can do, kind of document our journey, sort of like you guys with your magazine. At some point, you'll have, the error episode 1 that may be worth some money that will show kind of your journey. So for folks that are listening, that I think people that would listen to our podcast are people similar to our situation, where they have maybe a good full-time day job, but they're looking at the future saying, do I really want to be working at the bank for the next 30 years? Do I want to have, even though this is a comfortable job, it doesn't produce any meaning in my life? So what would you tell to people that kind of want to do something, but they're afraid to do it? They're afraid of making mistakes. They're afraid of messing up. What do you tell these people?
You just have to do it. You just have to do it. Everybody's scared. Everyone is going to quote unquote fail. And you just have to. It doesn't make sense to work 40 hours a week for $40,000 or even $75,000. That doesn't make sense. If you are having to bust your tail for 8 hours a day and you don't even like what you do, why the heck would you continue doing it? Why? If you know how to bake muffins and you can make them pretty, bake muffins.
They don't even have to be pretty. They just have to be good.
True.
I will pay money for a freaking muffin. Blueberry muffins all day long. Make me a muffin and I will pay up to $10 for a giant ass muffin, and you're going to make money. You have to be able to have fun with what you do, and you have to be able to provide value. And if you are doing just a regular 8 to 5 job that you absolutely hate, chances are you're not providing any value. Chances are you're providing headache to everyone around you. And so why would you even do that? Why would you do that to yourself, and why would you do that to others? That's why. So I'm definitely I'm the person that is fear of failure, and everything has to be perfect, and I have to have it all figured out. And so that's why religiously, and I hate using that word, but consistently is a better word. I listen to a podcast every day. I've listened to the same episode of a podcast for weeks at a time until I finally learned that message. So it's whatever you have to do as an individual to slowly but surely get yourself out of that stage of being scared and having what if it doesn't work? Well, it's going to not work if you don't want it to work, but you have the capacity to make it work. And so just buck up and do it and give it a shot and figure out what you are good at and what you want to do. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you are only good at one thing. And if you're not doing that one thing, then you're screwed for the rest of your life. There's definitely seasons in life. And so figure out what season you're in and make accommodations for that.
Yeah,
I think
well put.
I think your magazine is a perfect example of just, everybody sees that tip of the iceberg. No one sees the boulder that's underneath it, where, you guys failed. Everyone went to this party. They thought your magazine was this huge success, and it is, but they didn't see all the hard work that went into it, all the struggles and all the challenges. So we're all out there. We're all human. We're all struggling, but there's goods that come out of it too. It's just in all these mainstream platforms that are out there, it's all you see is this big, shiny, awesome thing. It's that didn't just happen overnight. We had to put blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Well, I liken it to, you're talking about, the social media platforms and things like this. Well, I think it's funny whenever, especially with influencers, I always say I do photography, I do video, I do that kind of stuff. And so the behind the scenes for one picture, for these people to look so good. It's do you know how many times in one day they failed at taking this picture, and all they did was one post today, and it probably took them 3 to 4 hours, 5 hours to take one picture. They had to get the lighting right. They had to get the color right. They had to do the location, it had to be perfect. And
hair and makeup, editing,
everything about this one picture for Instagram had to be perfect. Yet people, we see them and we're oh, if I could be that successful. And it's yeah, but you're not willing to put in the time of the 5-hour photo shoot. With your cell phone camera, out on this edge of whatever, just to do that. So that's one of the things that I always want people to understand. Obviously Jen and I have business ventures that we're doing, and there's people that we talk to all the time, and we, people have their own remarks about our business ventures. And I always want to say, like, well, if you worked like we do, like, be ready to work. Like, be ready to work like we do. Like, be ready to work until 10:30 at night because, you know, you want it to succeed. Be ready to, you know, have, I mean, an occasional argument. Be ready to have, you know, the, oh my gosh, there's tears coming from her eyes. I don't know what the hell's going on right now. Conversation, you know, be ready to, you know, have the work, like the consistent work. Like, obviously we do real estate, we do this magazine, we have our photo booth, and we have full-time jobs. And so every single thing requires effort, every single one. I mean, Saturday, this past Saturday, we had a party with our photo booth, but it was so cool to set that photo booth up, get it going, and then drive and eat dinner, and then think about it saying, we're making money while we're eating. Like, we're eating dinner, making money. And so that was the moment. I mean, this is just this weekend, and that was our last weekend. That was the moment where I realized, okay, we're doing something right. But now, like, for other people, it's like, find what you can do that you can make money even when you're sleeping. Like Jen says, making a muffin. Like, if you make good muffins, make muffins to where at night, whenever people are laying there, they're thinking about buying your muffins. Or you go and you say, hey, I sell muffins on, you know, we have a company that we buy a charcuterie board from. She sells them on Thursdays. She sells them like Monday through Thursday. And she sells out. Mm-hmm. You have to buy Monday through Thursday. And then she delivers on Friday and Saturday. So Monday through Thursday, she's making money. Mm-hmm. And Friday and Saturday, she works. Yeah. She puts them together. And so it's like, find your area where you can make money while you're doing absolutely nothing. Your website operates for you. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think is cool about this. Now, we do have to do a little bit of work, but whenever we're sitting here and you get a notification that someone just bought your magazine, or somebody just bought a hat, or somebody just bought something from our website, and it's like, literally, we worked 15 days to make money for the next 25 days. Mm-hmm. And it's just going to be like that continuous.
Yeah. I think it's funny that you brought up the charcuterie, and then I brought up muffins. So I think a lot of times people were hungry. Dude, it's bad.
We just ate. So we're not hungry.
We're still talking about food. Oh, that's bad. Okay. So, like, a lot of people think, oh, well, it's just a muffin. And, like, it would have been really easy for this company to say, oh, it's just charcuterie. I can make charcuterie. Like, it's not hard, right? You just decorate it on a little plate. Nice. Yummy. I can make it. I've made it before. But it's not as good when you don't have to do anything. You know what I mean? It's not as good as it is to pay for it. Like, that's what I don't understand when people say, oh, it's just a muffin. Yeah, but all you do is pay for that muffin. And so for the people that are just like, oh, well, no one's going to want my muffin. It's just a muffin. People want to buy things. People like convenience. I will definitely pay for a muffin before I bake a muffin. I'm not a baker. I don't like to cook. I will pay for charcuterie. I will pay for someone to slice my cheese before I slice my own cheese. You know what I mean? And so there's a market.
Yeah, and the other thing that I pick up on when you say that is, let's say that the guy or the gal that wants to make muffins is a paralegal at a law firm, hates their job, or they work at a bank, they get paid well, hate their job, but they love to bake muffins. It sounds like Murray's cat loves muffins. We're talking about it. I can hear the cat.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'll go on mute.
Good. This is the Dumpster Fire Project. But that's what we kind of talk about on here is maybe, you know, your parents expected you to go to law school. Your parents expected you to have this successful job, and you went down that road. Now you're in your 30s or your 40s, and it's not what you want to do the rest of your life. You like to make muffins. When I tell my friends and colleagues and family, when they say, you know, what's next for you, Eric? You've been chief deputy DA. You're a deputy city attorney. So you got to be going to do private practice. You're going to work for one of the big law firms in Albuquerque. And they're blown away when my response is, I don't really want to practice law like that anymore. I want to do my company where I train police officers, train young attorneys, because that's what I enjoy doing. And I don't really need or want the stress of being the big time trial attorney, because I did hundreds of jury trials. I'm done with that. And to a certain extent, maybe I had something to prove to people, and I don't think that way anymore. So I think that's your idea with the muffins. No matter what career you're in, if that's what you love to do, even if you're taking a pay cut, you're going to have a more happy, more fulfilling life if you do what you love.
Well, the one thing about, I think, using the muffin, one thing about making muffins is that when you're making muffins, you're making your own money. There is no limit to the amount of muffins you can sell. There's no days of the week that you can't sell muffins. And so as far as making money, it's up to you. Like if I say, I just rough math, it's like $275 a day to make $100,000, And so I don't know what a muffin costs. What's a muffin cost?
Depends on how good it is.
Yeah. I mean, let's say if, Starbucks is going to charge us probably, $4 for a muffin.
No, I'd say like $6.
I mean, I don't know how hard it is to sell 45 muffins in a day, but if you could sell 45 muffins in a day at $6.
Let's do that.
It sounds like you guys are going to be starting this muffin stand very soon. We're really talking about
someone,
I'm also hungry.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, at 200, that's where my brain goes when it comes to the simplicity of starting a business and making money. It's like, how many of these do I have to sell to be profitable? And 45 muffins, I don't think sounds like a lot. Whenever most people are going to buy a couple of muffins at a time. And especially if you're doing them on pre-order, and if you're trying, and so for me, it's like, do it, because the sky is the limit. I come from a sales background. I mean, I've done sales my entire life. I'm still doing sales. It's just because I hated limits on my income. I never wanted to be told, oh, well, we can pay you $25 an hour. And I'm like, well, I could make, the other day Jennifer did a pop-up, and she was like, oh, I sold this many. I was like, you made this much money. She sold 4 magazines in less than an hour at $40. I was like, you made more money than most people do in an hour. And all you did was sell what you love, what you created. And I'm like, all day long you do that. All day long you make money. And she didn't have to pay anybody else to do it. Yeah. And no, she didn't have to take anybody else's crap to do it.
Right.
And so
that's what people don't realize is you can find something you love to do, like you just said, and if you work at it and you focus on it, you can make a living doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we talked to a guy that started a coffee shop who had a nice, comfortable job, making good money, professional job. He wanted to start a business. He was really into the coffee thing, and him and his wife kind of took the leap. Very quickly, he said on the podcast, maybe it was a little irresponsible looking back, so we just dove in. But even though he was making a little bit less money at first, way more fulfilling life, it sounded like. And that's the kind of thing that I think Murray and I like to talk about here. You guys are hitting it right on the head.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Murray, I thought you were going to jump in because the passive income thing, that's something that you're into, right?
Yeah. So focusing on software or SaaS, I specifically set out to do that because I can make money when I'm not working. There's a bunch of upfront. And then when I'm making money not working, I can still continue to work to put money on top of that. So for me, it's not just about money. But I did want to know what my lifestyle was going to be. Am I trading direct hours for dollars? Am I going to try and set something up for passive? Do I want to have a traveling lifestyle? There's many different approaches you take when you set up your own company. And mine specifically wanted to be passive because my hobby or my passions are just split in so many different places. I wanted to be able to go out, help this area, get that up and running, and then go attack the next thing. And at the same time, be able to support whatever that next project is that I'm going after. So I'm very familiar with that and the passive concept. But I do have a very unique question for you guys, especially since you're the first ones that have been on here. being a couple, how does that come into the business side of it? That's got to be a kind of a sensitive situation sometimes. How do you make it work being a couple and still being in business together?
So I think because we've been together so long that we have a little bit of a different relationship. Not that I'm demeaning marriage, but a lot of times we're friends first. And so I like to keep the friend hat on, is what I say, because I feel like most of the time you have a lot more graces for your friends than you do your spouse. And so that kind of helps me. I will tell you that like day 5 into the magazine, I wrote all of these awesome articles, and AJ told me, hey, no one's going to read a magazine just about you and just about your writings. Like, you're not even a writer. And so I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, it hurt my feelings, but I was like, yeah, you're completely right. Like, let me go make some calls and see if people will like jump on board with this. So I think the majority of the time we're able to say like the brutal, honest truth. And yeah, we'll get mad, but like you get over it, because if you don't get over it, you're not going to grow. And I think we appreciate growing better than we do staying mad. You know what I mean? And so it's not always pretty. Like, we bicker about a lot of things.
She bickers about
mainly where we're going to eat. I don't know why we're talking so much about food on this podcast right now, but it seems like it keeps coming up. But no, you have to roll with the punches. Like, you're never going to 100% agree with anybody. You know what I mean? And so I think you're allowed to, be mad when it's a coworker. You should be allowed to be mad when it's a spouse. But no, you just work it out.
Yeah, I mean, like she said, we've been together for so long, and I mean, our conversation with each other is unlike what most married people's conversations are. Like, the way we talk to each other, for some people, may seem very weird. Like,
he called me Quasimodo yesterday because I was not in my back right now. It was so rude.
Yeah, I mean,
I laughed. I thought it was funny.
Like, I mean, we watched Game of Thrones, and I don't know if y'all have seen Game of Thrones, but for weeks I was calling her a whore just because I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And so, most people...
If you haven't seen Game of Thrones, you're going to think that's totally like belittling. But
I haven't. I don't watch it. I don't know if Murray does, but I call Murray that sometimes, so it's all good.
and so I think for us, that, like she said, that friendship, that friendship that we have is what can get us through so many things. I mean, and we've worked together before, but we work really well together. We play music together. We both play music. We're both kind of creative, and so we like to do creative things together. We do real estate together. And so we've done so many things together that this just makes sense for us to do together. And
I think we know each other's place. Like, you definitely have like skills that I don't have. And I'm usually the one telling you, hey, you can't talk to people like that.
Yeah, so I can't call everybody a whore. No. But and so I think that's the best way to put it, is that we do know our place. And this is kind of one of the things that I think makes it really easy, is that I prefer to work with her. Like, I prefer to work with Jen. Like, I prefer to hang out with Jen usually, just because we have fun together. Like, she knows my humor, I know her humor. She knows, and so I'm not like having to be careful. You know what I mean? I can say, I mean, not that I'm ever really, really careful, but it's just like with her, I don't have to. The guard's down. Like, there's nothing that you have to try to pretend to be doing or not to be doing, and so it just makes it really easy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think Murray and I are lucky enough to have understanding wives who will allow us to call this studio that is actually a bedroom in the house, the podcasting studio, and keep the dogs quiet and do all these things while we're doing it. So that's nice. I mean, I think that's something you have to, if you don't have the support of your spouse, I don't know that it would be possible to do this sort of thing. And it's really cool that you guys actually do it together. Just to switch gears a little bit, I keep thinking of this and forgetting, but I wanted to ask you, I don't know, Jennifer, if it's you or AJ, but you guys have a huge presence on social media. For myself, I was out of social media for a long time, so I had to kind of learn. Like, I knew Facebook. I still can't figure out Instagram. We're messing around with TikTok, but I noticed you guys post a lot, and that's got to be intentional, I imagine.
So it is intentional. I'm not really huge on social media either. Like AJ set them up, but I'm the one that does most of the posting. And honestly, I started posting probably 3 to 4 times a day because I was listening to a podcast and they told me that there was an algorithm. Now, whether or not this is true, I don't know, but apparently there's an algorithm that if you don't post enough times throughout the day, then specifically Facebook doesn't recognize you as a real business. So when you do post, the people who like your page don't always see it. And then our buddy from Quiznos, he is all over the place on social media. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I got to step up my game. So like on Instagram, Quiznos is like literally at least once an hour, if not 30 minutes. So they do great. And so they really just pushed me to get into it. So what I do is I actually make multiple. I tried doing the scheduling post on Facebook for a little while, and for some reason that just didn't work out for me. So what I ended up doing is like on Friday and Saturday when I have a couple of hours, I make the posts for the week. And so normally I have like a good like 40 posts to like line up that I already know what I'm going to like. We do have like spontaneous ones. Like if I see a quote that I like, then I'm like, heck yeah, I'm posting this real quick. But all the ones that are made, I do ahead of time just because it does take time to market. And marketing is just empathy and intimacy with the people who are looking at your product. And so once I started looking at posting and marketing that way, it made it a little bit more fun because you're just kind of creating relationships with the people who are looking at your page and looking at your product.
It's part of this whole branding idea, right? And you want to get your brand out there and get it across social media. Are you seeing any results as far as seeing sales in the magazine, people that follow you on Facebook, Instagram, anything that correlates so you can say, hey, this is really working?
So we get anywhere from 6 to 7 new followers a day, which is awesome.
Yeah.
We've gotten the furthest that the magazine has gotten so far is Las Cruces. We had an order from Las Cruces. We get some fairly good interaction. I feel like I get a little bit more interaction on Instagram than I do on Facebook. But people like seeing you. And so every once in a while, I throw that in there. Like when we do a video, we get a lot of good feedback from the video. I just posted a sister picture of me and Megan because August is celebrating Sister Day. So we did a cool little thing in the magazine for that. And that had a lot of comments, well, a couple of comments and then a lot more likes than most of the stuff. So, yeah, people like to know you as an individual. And so we try to bring that.
We also try to use social media to also share our friends' businesses, mm-hmm. to support other businesses. And so, if a friend's business posts something, we tend to try to share it or at least like it or, let them know, that we see them, one of the results that came from social media, was, we planned a print party mm-hmm. completely through social media.
Within like a week?
Yeah, a week, because mm-hmm. we were at an event. We were at Drylands with the owners, and we were talking, and he asked, like, what are you guys doing? And we told him, we're thinking about, we were going to do it just real small, just hang out. He said, no, let's have a party here. And so that was like on a Friday it was on a Friday because the next day we were traveling and I put together a little graphic and posted it by Wednesday. We're still posting stuff while we're going through our crises of building a new magazine, and we're still promoting our print party as normal. And I think there was over 100 people at the party there, and so that was all done through social media advertising, shares and all that good stuff. And so I feel like that was a big moment of just knowing that our social media was working. Yeah. That night, we also got like 52 new followers on our
within
Instagram.
a few hours that our print party occurred, and most of those people that started following us weren't there.
Yeah.
So it was. I mean, our social media so if it's a standard, just everyday post, more than likely Jennifer did it. If it's video, it's AJ. Yeah, I'm more of I love to make video. Like, that's my deal. And so we work on that all the time.
Yeah. I do stress that, like I said earlier, marketing is just intimacy with your buyer or your potential buyer. And so I'll go through and, I'll comment and like on other local business stuff, like, hey, keep it up. Like, we said happy birthday to a worker at Quiznos because it was her birthday, and they posted like a birthday thing, or we'll like someone's keychains that they make and stuff like that. And it's support. Like, that's what all of this is about, is supporting the local business owner, like your fellow business owner. I think with COVID, the atmosphere here in Lee County kind of changed as far as people being in competition. And I think right now it's more collaboration. And so we're really trying to nurture that through the magazine. And so we're all about it. We're all about saying, hey, good job, keep it up.
There's no reason not to support everybody, and so.
Right. It's tough times. We're going through a interesting time right now, for sure. And, we were all at Drylands. We had an amazing time. And then the governor shuts us down again. Although, I suppose you could do the outdoor thing out there, but still, it's tough for businesses right now across many fields. I never would. What are the odds? I start a business speaking at conferences and doing event trainings, and it's right when COVID happens. But it also creates opportunity, I think. I never thought of doing a virtual presentation. Everyone's pivoting to that, and hey, I don't got to leave the house. I don't got to go to the airport. I don't got to spend 3 days going to this event. I just get on Zoom and get paid that way, and I never have to leave the house. So there's some opportunity that I think you should realize exists as well.
Definitely. We bought our selfie mirror right before COVID happened. It hung out in our dining room for weeks before anyone decided to have a get together, right? Because everybody was like strictly on lockdown. But we still saw an opportunity and we took it anyways.
Nice. So I was going to ask you guys about that. I wasn't sure how long you've been doing the selfie mirror thing. So tell us about that venture and maybe some wins and losses or lessons learned with that.
So first off, it's just a giant interactive photo booth. Mm-hmm. So it's a mirror, a two-way mirror with a computer screen behind it that's touch screen. So it's just to kind of give some, idea of what it is. But it was, we bought it. We bought it with absolutely no way to move it, first off. So we didn't have a truck. We didn't have a trailer. We had nothing. No way to move it. And so, but we knew that we could make it work. We knew that we could figure it out. And so we bought it. We were getting ready. We were advertising. Obviously, we were doing the social media thing. And then COVID happens. And so we actually had a couple of events booked that ended up getting rescheduled. Some of them got canceled, which was understandable. But, this is one of those things that we got into because we feel like we can take something that just this simple and, turn it into something bigger, like the possibilities of adding things to it, making a party package where, I don't know, different things you can provide, different services, you could provide, because there's one thing about in purchasing this, and it was a weird purchase. It was like, I think I asked the previous owner how much it cost to rent it for an event that I was planning. And he said, why don't you buy the whole thing? And I said, well, how much is it? And so he tells me, and I tell Jan, and within 2 days, we were buying this selfie mirror that I initially just wanted to rent. And so I guess now I can use it whenever I want. But, I mean, besides that, like, it was just one of those things that once we started talking about it, I was like, we can make this work. Like, we know enough people, and people like to party. Like, people want to.
There's nothing else to do in Hobbs America. What else are you going to do down here?
Right. And so in our slogan that we're trying to use for it is, if there aren't pictures, it didn't happen. So,
Nice.
Why not use the selfie mirror? Let the selfie mirror take the pictures. And we've been working on making it, more fun for people, explaining what we do, how we do it, giving them an idea of the accessibility of putting it into their house for a party and all these good things. And people are loving it. Like I said, we had a party with it over this past weekend, and, they enjoyed it. And, we've taken it to graduation parties, and it's one of those things, like, the opportunity for that thing are endless.
Yeah.
I mean, we're trying to do even more with it. But, we did have to trade in a vehicle to buy a truck. We have to use our...
I was going to ask, well, how did you eventually get the thing so you actually had to go buy a truck?
Yeah, so we ended up getting rid of Jennifer's car, so Jennifer drives the truck now. And then, it was quite crazy that one day we ended up with a wild government debit card in the mail.
Yeah, I didn't think we were getting one. Everyone else had already spent their stimulus, and no, we didn't get one. And then
all of a sudden we had a debit card in the mail, so... we bought a make trailers great again. And so we have a brand new trailer, and we put it all together. It all came together really quick. We needed it one weekend. It had to go to a party, and so we needed it. We ended up getting that, like I said, that stimulus right in the nick of time, and it just, we bought a trailer, we took it out, and now, I mean, it's simple. We take it, someone says, hey, we need it. We have a couple of people that are working with us on it. We just pay them. And so, man, it was a good investment. It was a scary investment because right as we bought it, then COVID happened. But
yeah. Well, I love it because I think 9 out of 10 people look at that situation. They say, I don't want to buy one. I just want to rent the thing. I don't even have a truck. You guys sold a vehicle and bought a truck so you can make this happen. Talk about going all in on something. That's awesome. I think that's a good lesson for a lot of people, that you have to realize if you really want to do something, you can't just keep dipping your toes in the water the whole time. At some point, you're going to have to take the leap. You're going to have to jump in. There's going to be risks associated with it. But like for you guys, it sounds like it's paying off. And that thing is awesome. It was at the print party at Drylands, and it was nonstop people enjoying it. So there's clearly a market for it, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, look at that. We're at 53 minutes already. Murray, do you have any other follow-up questions?
No, that was it. It was just, you guys touched on so many things. Can't thank you enough for being on here and sharing your stories. You've got so many. Do you guys want to give any shout outs specifically? Clearly the magazine's new. We already talked about that, but feel free to, give the listeners a little bit of either best advice, leave them with some last pieces, or let them know where they can find you.
Best advice. I think if you want a different life than what you currently have, you have to change what you're listening to. Literally, that's all I did, is I changed what I listened to. I started listening to podcasts that I felt inspired by every day. Granted, it took me a couple of years to make a move, but now it's so weird to say this, but we're multi-business owners. It's so weird for me to say that. And it's so weird to be on a podcast because I never thought I would be on a podcast, but here we are, all because we changed what we listened to. So it's pretty cool. Like literally one new thing. That's it. One new thing.
Well, if I can ask one last follow-up, is you guys have a lot of irons in the fire, and you have the full-time day jobs. do you have a hard time balancing, setting limitations, making sure that you're not getting burnt out on all this stuff?
I think we do pretty good with boundaries most of the time. Like when we need a day off, we do a day off. Like our day offs usually consist of doing absolutely nothing.
Binge watching television.
Yeah. Or, we do date night, we go shopping. We do stuff that's relaxing for us. But I think we have a really good support group. We have a lot of good friends who are also business owners, so they kind of just understand things. And then we have friends who are definitely our cheerleaders, and they're the ones that are saying, no, you got this, you can do this, for the moments where your magazine is printed totally incorrectly. And so I think you just have to surround yourself with the people who add value to you and stay away from the ones who drain you.
Well, and I think the other thing about that is that in the balance is, for me, because I love what I'm doing, I don't ever feel like I'm working. And I consistently feel like, and I often find myself working. So, I mean, is it real work? Yeah, because, we're making connections, we're networking, we're getting people involved in the magazine. But it's funny, and I mean, I'll use this, like 99% of our, not 99, but so much of our magazine exists because of connections we made while at dry lines. And it's just like, while we were out trying to relax or trying to, get away from work, we developed a new work, and we developed a new, an idea that because of that, we have a magazine now. And so it just, it doesn't ever seem like work. Like even when we're on the road, we're driving somewhere where, we're doing some sort of work, or, I watch a lot of sports, and while I'm watching sports, sometimes I'm watching how they do things, because I'm like, well, these are some of the best advertisers in the world. When we're talking about European soccer or Formula One racing, or any other sport that goes on, like these people get paid top dollar to market these teams. And so it's like, how do they do it? What are they doing? How can we incorporate that into our business? What are their best practices? What are their deals? And so even though we may be relaxing or balancing because it doesn't feel like work, it's fun. It's fun for me. It's fun for me to figure those things out. And so I think that's what, with so many irons in the fire, it's so many irons in the fire of things we like. And so it never feels like work to me. Sometimes it feels like stress, but it never really feels like work. So
I think that's well said, and that's a common theme that Murray and I have heard from talking to people that have made the leap. Is like, even though they're working crazy hours, like at a coffee shop, that's their dream. They don't want to be at the bank, working an 8-hour shift, making the decent money. They want to be putting in the extra hours, doing what they love. And I think that's well said. If you're doing what you love every day, it's more meaningful and it doesn't feel like work. So I think that's about as good advice as you can get. I can't thank you guys enough for coming on. I've been trying to get you guys to come on here for a long time. We really appreciate my copy up here, putting us in the magazine on kind of close to the front here. We got a whole page here. So we really appreciate it.
Podcast.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. And, this is going to be episode 15. It'll post next Thursday. So we're kind of early on in the process. As you can see, we've had some technical glitches that we're working through. We're investing in a whole bunch of equipment. We really want to grow this thing. And I think having guests on like you guys will really help us do that. So can't thank you enough. Any other questions for us or any follow-up, Murray?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have you guys on here again. AJ just started on a couple of topics that were heavy hitters that I'm very passionate about. So we're already at the 1 hour mark, but we'll definitely get you guys on here soon to follow
all
up.
Night.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So, thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I think if I could say one more thing, I know that we're like about to get cut off.
No, there's
It's like
no
when you
rules
leave-
here. We
it's
can
like
go.
when
We
you
can go.
leave a
We can go another
voicemail
hour.
and
Yeah.
It's really long. And
We
then
can
you
say
have
we're
to
going to
call
end and then do
Hi,
it again
Tea.
for like 3 more times.
Just one thing for the local business owner. If you want to connect with us, please email me at info@teadeets.com or reach out to us on Facebook and Instagram. We would love to connect with any and all local businesses here in Lee County and just connect, whether it's an ad in the magazine, whether it's helping with marketing, whether it's just getting to know each other and kind of, just having an ear to talk to. Please reach out. We would love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, absolutely do it. The magazine is awesome, and you guys are really good people, and we appreciate having you on here. And like Murray said, hopefully if you guys enjoyed this, we'll get you on here some other time. So we really appreciate it. Thanks, Murray. Thanks, guys. We'll see you guys next time on the next episode. Hang on. Don't turn it off just yet. If you enjoyed the podcast, please consider subscribing. We'd love to hear your feedback. Let us know what topics you want to hear us talk about on here. As always, you can find me at tacticalattorney.com. You can find Murray at fullvolumesolutions.com. Appreciate it, everybody. Stay safe. See you next time.